Hey everyone, welcome. We are on a 2-minute countdown to the show start. And if you're here early, you're amazing. Know how loved you are. If in return, you could drop a little like on the video, that would be amazing. Helps with the old algorithm in a huge way. And you're looking for something to do, use the comments to tell us where in the world you're watching the show from right now. That would be absolutely amazing. It's going to be a boss show. Strap yourself in. You've still got a minute and 30-ish seconds, 32. Time to just about make yourself a very weak cup of tea or a standard cup of water. Yeah. I mean, look, if you're looking for something else to do, here's some awesome merchandise that we sell. I've no idea what the actual t-shirt is, but what I can say with absolute guarantee is that it's clearly amazing because our designers are great. That's on redmenmerch.com. Here's some cool stuff there. 1 minute till the show starts. Getting exciting. You can put in the comments section, who is your favorite Liverpool player of all time? Yeah, that should kill a few seconds, kill 15 just saying it. Yeah, really looking forward to this one. Thank you so much for sitting here in eager anticipation of what we're going to do for you, or all the things we're going to do. It's going to be great fun, great laugh. What a time we're going to have here. Oh, 27 seconds. Here we go. Make sure that you've got your volume levels adjusted perfectly. You're sitting comfortably. And, you know, if you're the kind of person who's a very angry commenter, make sure you press that caps lock button first, because that way we know that you're shouting in anger when you type your comments in. But obviously, just be nice, right? Anyway, 4, 3, 2, 1, enjoy the show.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Uncensored Match Build-Up Show. I'm Chris Pajak, that's Errol Smith, and we've got Steve Plunkett over at the board for this one. We're going to build up to the big game against Fulham at Anfield. It feels weird to say that because I'm not normally on watch-alongs when we're home. The reason I'm here and Steve isn't is I managed to sort 2 tickets together. One of the mate I go with wasn't going, so I've said to Steve a while ago, like mentioned he wanted to take Lucas. I was like, right, you can take your son to the game. He hasn't been
since before COVID.
I know, yeah. So
it's been a while, man.
So I said to him, look, you take my ticket, take your lad to the game. I'll do the watch along with Errol, and here I am. We're going to talk about Fulham, but before we get into it, here's what the manager had to say pre-match.
Oh, dear boys, probably training. He looks good. Not ready for the game, but is doing more and more. So waiting for him joining team training again. Pretty much same for Naby. And in our situation, Bobby is out. And Thiago struggles. He got in the West Ham game a knock in the back, his bruised rib, could not train before the game, but could play without injection or whatever, could play, but got another knock immediately when he came on. So maybe you might have seen the celebrations of Thiago. He was sitting down pretty slowly. So didn't train since then, so that's one. It's a doubt. He asked about injuries, forgot that. He's a doubt at least, but I hope he can recover until tomorrow night. Apart from that, it's a normal situation. Of course, you need more players than you have positions, and then boys have always the possibility to show that they should start, could start or whatever, and I have to make decisions about how it would fit the best for the specific opponent.
There you go, that was Jurgen Klopp from inside a fucking rainstorm. Jesus wept, like, what's going on? Like, it did sound like rain, it was people typing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what we've got in the chat
mate?
as well.
I mean,
Tom confirmed, the producer Tom confirmed it was actually just the journos typing.
We're talking, well, I think he was saying about Diego Jota being a doubt. Firmino probably not quite there yet. We now know that Thiago is out for the season by the looks of it, Thiago Alcantara, which is disappointing, isn't it? And where are you with Thiago Alcantara? Because he's such a magic player, Errol. But
he's luxury though, isn't he? Like, he's fully fell into that camp of being a bit of a luxury player at the minute. And because it's one of them, like, we've had them before in other positions where you'd have like a luxury forward, and you think, yeah, if the other lads are just doing the business, every now and again when you can drop in. Sturridge was like that a little bit when Klopp first came in, because we had other players that we'd rely on more than his ability. But sometimes if you need to lean on him for a big performance. I think I go back to that Chelsea game sometimes when he scored that goal, that curler. Go back to the PSG game in the Champions League in the group stages. He'd come on and he'd perform, but we knew what we was going to get from him. Thiago's not that extreme in terms of the Sturridge mould, but he is starting to become a bit of a luxury player. And because our midfield is crying out for a robust, consistent, it's crying out for another genie mould, someone who we know week in, week out is going to be fit enough to get the level that we need from him. Thiago just doesn't hit those parameters for us at the minute, and as a result, we feel it even more. His absence is felt even more because we know the quality he brings.
Yeah, I want to bring Steve Plunkett in on this one. He's over at the board now because just missed the table there with me, but that was fully embarrassing. He saw it, yeah, and I'm guessing a couple of thousand people watching on YouTube probably saw it. And if they didn't, they're probably rewinding it right now, and I know I'm looking at it because I fully missed the table. It's right there. I'm literally leaning on it. I should know where it is. My spatial awareness tonight is fucking zero, which is unfortunate for me. Anyway, I want to bring Steve in because you made an interesting point to me, Steve, this afternoon when we were talking about it. I want you to tell that point, if you can remember it, to the audience without me prompting you.
This would be, I think I made 2 points, and the first point would be, we're now going into a sixth game, hopefully unbeaten. We haven't really used Thiago, so looking into the future, that midfield's got us all of these points without him. In addition to that, he's on north of 200 grand a week, and we're not playing the lad. So you have to look at that as a package, and you have to say to yourself, can we rely on him? No. Can we win games without him? Yes. Is he a wonderful footballer? Absolutely. Is he costing us an arm and a leg to be sitting on the bench or worse in the treatment room? So I think with a year to go on his contract, there's a few interesting decisions to be made around Thiago. I don't see him getting an extension. There's a rumour that Barcelona have made a tentative inquiry, shall we say. I think the club's got potentially a decision to make with Thiago because it's an awful lot of money for a player that really doesn't feature every game.
Absolutely, Steve. I think he's right there, isn't he? I've just brought something up that Andrew Beasley tweeted earlier on this afternoon, I think it was. No, it was yesterday, actually, thinking about it. Andrew Beasley at Base Tunes Red, the stats man, basically. And I've got this on the screen for you now, and you can see it, Errol. Thiago appearances per missed game is 1.7 appearances per missed game. So he's had 96 appearances,
I'm really
57 misses.
So
it's quite a lot. I mean, we're not there at Joel Matip, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita levels yet, but that's the company with Joe Gomez that he's actually keeping. That is a little bit of a concern, isn't it, mate?
It is. It is definitely a concern. The way that I maybe I measure it slightly different. Or I've looked at it, we've been more charitable to the likes of Naby Keita, and I don't think we've had the level of return in terms of his ability on the pitch back from him. So it's like, I understand, and maybe the interesting conversation is the fact that it's only a year left on his contract. Do we now show that ruthless streak that we didn't apply to Naby, which then potentially shows that even though we know we've got this quality talent on our books, we have to be ruthless, and if we're not ruthless here in this moment, it could be another decision that costs us in 12 to 18 months' time. If that's how the board and the management team look at it, I can kind of get behind the justification for getting rid of Thiago, cash in on.
Is it too much work to do this summer when you've got the likes of Naby Keita, you've got the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain going already?
They're walking out the door though, so there's no kind of like negotiating anything with the club.
But if you lose a third midfielder and you lose James Milner, the rumours are that he's going to go to Brighton. There's four midfielders, and then you're losing Thiago Alcantara. There's five midfielders, and let's just say as well, he's fucking boss when he plays.
That was the other side of the coin for me. It's that we've been really charitable to Naby Keita. Do we not want to then show that same level of kind of or afford that same level of loyalty to Thiago? Because it's only a year left on his contract. If we afford that loyalty to him, we've still got, as you said, other players that are going to go out, which means we're going to have to bring in reinforcements anyway, that we expect to carry the bulk load of that midfield engine room. Are we then in a position where we can afford to have a luxury player like Thiago?
It'd be mad, wouldn't it? Because you'd be going into next season with Stefan Bajcetic, potentially Tyler Morton as well. We shouldn't forget about Tyler Morton. Jordan Henderson, Harvey Elliott, Kurt Jones, and Fabinho. Now the mad thing there is, and I know these are things that we've struggled with stay all sort of season long, because the highlight has fully been on the midfield, but like you've gone from an old midfield to a young midfield and nowhere in between, and that's what Liverpool need to address in the transfer window.
100%. And whilst the youngsters are full of energy and full of enthusiasm and work really hard, they lack experience. We've seen that particularly with Tyler Morton, although we asked a lot of him to play Spurs the way he did. But the question for me is, has the re-emergence of Curtis Jones, now he's injury-free, changed the thinking a little bit? He is not a drop-off. When you put him in the midfield, there's no drop-off in standard. He still does everything we expect him to do. If you move the likes of Henderson and Fabinho into more senior midfield roles and you recruit at least 2, and you add the names that Chris just came up with there, you've probably got 8 or 9 centre midfielders, and you've got 5 or 6 that are of the type of profile that Errol speaks about in terms of being physically strong, being robust, being able to beat men one-on-one 50-50s and win those 2. At this moment in time, if you can isolate Fabinho and Jordan Henderson one-on-one, and you're a particularly athletic centre midfielder, you've got half a chance of going past them. We've seen that all season. If you push them 2 out a little bit in terms of less minutes, but vital minutes at the right times in games, and you use the two or three new signings, plus your Bajcetic, plus your Harvey Elliott's, there is a world where you can actually make a case for saying, should we be paying £8,500 a month for a player that just doesn't feature?
Well, and the fact on top of that is, if you're just going off that stat there, you basically, how much does that break down into a year? Because you're basically almost guaranteeing that half of that money paid next season is going to go directly out the window, because you're not going to be able to apply it to that.
He should pay his own medical bills. That would probably solve the fucking issue.
You know what I mean? You're guaranteeing you're going to have to pay half that bag for a non-entity.
Yeah.
So
it's mad.
What would you do though if someone offered you 15 million this summer? Or would you pay the remaining 7.5 to Bayern Munich and let them go on a free? That's a decision someone's got to make at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard because I absolutely love and adore watching him. I'm going to get into some of the comments then. A lot of people have been talking about it. Michael McGuinness, first off though.
Let me just ask you this before you do that. So it's sad because if we're accepting defeat and almost going to let him go, we will have effectively seen his last game for Liverpool already.
I'm going to cry now, fucking all that.
That's what we're resigning ourselves to, isn't it?
Don't tell me that. I've just got over the fact that we might not see much more of Bobby Firmino, and now you're telling me I can't watch Thiago Alcantara
again in a red shirt. Yeah, that's shut up.
Michael McGuinness, we're going to get some Page at Magic on Friday night. Yeah, we're doing a quiz night on Friday night in Hotel Anfield. If you're in the Liverpool area and you want a boss night out, then this is the place to be. The night out are always fun, aren't they, mate?
Oh. Oh, yeah, they are. They're a laugh. She's not coming.
Few people talking about the Thiago Alcantara stuff. Craig Flynn, Thiago's a brilliant footballer, but unfortunately he's too injury prone. Nisha's Alan Chris, nice new combo. We've done this shit before, haven't we, mate?
Yeah,
it's been fun. Caleb Ripley, Thiago spends too much time in the medical room. He's 5-star quality, but too injury prone. Kind of sums it up, to be fair, which is good to see. And someone spotted Genie in the Andrew Beasley tweet and said, Genie, heartbroken, he was so reliable. Just going to bring that back up, actually. You can see him at the very bottom. It's ridiculous. 237 appearances and 7 games missed, and they were all for the shits. So he'd get the shits 2 times a year, and that's his game.
And that's it, yeah. So for every game he was available, yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's crazy, isn't it? And there you go, look at that. Robertson, Salah, Trent, Mane, Becker.
That's your spine. That's been the spine that's carried us during.
And that's what we need to get. Someone like a Thiago Alcantara out there.
And even their edges are skewed.
Yeah,
because of that massive injury, innit, really?
We're about 3 minutes away from the team news, Steve. I want to talk a couple of little bits. Obviously, Mitrovic scored two against us last time out. It was Nunez and Salah for us. It seems a long time ago. It was 9 months ago when we played that game. It was the 6th of August. It's now the 3rd of May.
Opening day of the season.
It feels so long ago, doesn't it? And so much has happened. We were full of hope before that game, and we thought we were going to come on and probably win the Premier League, maybe challenge for a European Cup again this season. So we've had some massive changes over the 9 months, but the team actually is relatively similar. So the team we played today was Alisson, Trent, Joel, Verge, Robertson, Jordan, Fabinho, Thiago, who went off injured, Salah, Roberto Firmino and Luis Diaz. Now, apart from the Thiago and Bobby, that might be the side that starts again today, and hopefully it's a bit different. What have you got the side, Ash?
Well, I put the side up that we started with last time. There's some conjecture about whether Robbo plays. could be replaced by Tsimikas. Whether Harvey Elliott plays or whether Jordan Henderson comes back in for him. And then the $1 million question, has Luis Diaz having had 6 months off? Has Luis Diaz got 2 games in him in like 3 or 4 days? You want to make sure his rehabilitation is proper and done correctly, otherwise you don't want to relapse, do you? So there's 3 places for me that particularly come under scrutiny: left back, right centre midfield, and left wing.
Left back?
Yeah.
Okay, resting Robbo, is that right, do you reckon, Errol? I can't imagine he would.
I can't imagine he would, but if it's going to be kind of on merit or form, not necessarily form, but I think he had an off game the other day. Does that warrant him then being dropped from the squad to give Tsimikas a run in? It might be an opportunity to just get him another game before the end of the season. Does he see Fulham as it's Brentford on the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it more likely to go for?
And it's a home game as well, I suppose.
Yeah. Is it better for him to kind of be through in for this game? There's a conversation to be had, maybe. I want to see. I was quite quick to praise Robbo before he dropped the clanger last week about how good he had been in this kind of new system and what it kind of was able to open him up to being able to do for us, really, because he's been quite a consistent performer for us down that left-hand side. It doesn't really take too much away from his game, and it kind of helps us with the kind of pushing Trent into midfield a little bit. He then has a bad game, so now it's like, well, do we bring in Tsimikas? Will he do a different job? And I don't really think there's a massive drop-off, but the one difference is Tsimikas, for me, is still better at dead balls, but I don't know if he's going to be any better in this particular style.
To be fair, Robbo stepped up the step balls. He's got a couple of assists, corner for the other week as well.
But what we see during the games, boys, is they take these positions, don't they, and they come across.
That's what I mean. It's that for me.
This is Robbo, and they're scoring goals here because Virgil's coming too far over, and Robbo's a left back. Let's not forget that Robbo's a left back, not a left-sided centre back. Mm-hmm. And it's a hell of an adjustment to.
Oh, Steve, you're right. Woo. Steve, you're right. I think you've got. 10. Oh no. Nunez for Gakpo.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and I think other than that, your team's actually spot on. Let me just check that over again one more time for you. Yeah, start going through it, Steve.
So in goal, Alisson, no surprises there. Right back, Trent, in the hybrid role. I'm sure we'll see him push into midfield this evening. Kanate and Van Dijk resume centre-back partnerships. And there is the change I talked about. Tsimikas comes in for Robbo, probably for a rest, not dropped because of form, probably for a rest. Midfield 3 of Jones, Fabinho and Henderson comes back in because I think we'll need to deal with the threat of Polina in particular, who's absolutely superb for Fulham this year. Right side of the front 3 is Salah, left side of the front 3 is Diaz, so Errol is going to play a second game in 3 or 4 days, which is a good sign, means his rehabilitation's going well, and then we're going Darwin down the middle.
How do you want me to do this? Do you want me to shout the subs out to you?
Yeah, go on.
Kelleher.
Yeah.
Gomez.
Yeah.
Milner.
Yeah.
Gakpo.
Yeah.
Elliott.
Yeah.
Jota.
Yeah.
Robertson.
Yeah.
Carvalho.
Yeah.
Matip.
Boom, got them all.
Wow. Got the entire squad. Didn't get the team right, but pulled one out the bag with the Tsimikas at left back there. You happy with that?
Yeah, do you know what? Fuck it, at this stage in the season, I'm happy with getting the best players that we can on the pitch at any given moment in time, because up until the last couple of weeks, you put teams out, and it's not necessarily the starting 11 for me, but it's been the bench. You've looked at the bench and you've been like, shit, we've got no strength in depth. We've got players on the treatment bench or the treatment room, wherever they are, and they're not available for us. If you look at that bench now, even if the game's not going the way we'd expect it to, we've got options to be able to freshen things up. The fact that Jota's, he had the knock, but he's fit enough to be in the matchday squad. Gakpo, we know what he's been able to do. We know the level he's been performing at, more importantly. A lot of people have been clamouring and calling for Nunez to be brought back into the starting 11, and Klopp's giving him the faith and the chance. I don't see Diaz seeing out 90 minutes at this stage. He'll probably get an hour under his belt, which means Gakpo or Jota is going to get brought in. That means there's going to be more minutes for Nunez, and you expect Nunez to play a big part in today's game.
Absolutely. And I think the interesting thing for me, Steve, is the front 3 players of Salah, Nunez and Luis Diaz there. I mean, I pontificated a few weeks ago that Diaz would play with Nunez, and the reason I thought of said that at the time was Diaz likes to cut back in and drop a little bit deeper. Jota likes to get into the box, so I always felt that Jota paired well with Gakpo and Diaz paired well with Darwin Nunez. Now Salah and Nunez over the last few months have developed a bit of an understanding, haven't they? So Salah can play balls into Darwin Nunez. So it's going to be interesting now to see if what I'd said a few weeks ago about Diaz and Nunez is actually we're going to see that on the football pitch.
And on top of that as well, the Trent arc that he's currently going on at the minute, this midfield hybrid role, we haven't, from what I can recall, we haven't seen Trent up until this point and Nunez start a game where Trent's going to occupy a lot of that midfield space. We've seen it when he came on from the bench against Leeds, was it, where he scores that goal at the end? He assists him straight away almost. We could potentially see more of a link up, more of an understanding between getting the ball through the lines to Nunez from Trent as well, which would be really good to see.
Now, I've done that because I think if at any point in the game you freeze it and you have a look at it, that is the situation we're going to see where Liverpool's lineup is.
Don't mind me. OCD. Hang on.
Okay. Bit of decorating there from Chris Pajak. Right, so if you freeze the game at any point, I think you see this. I think you see these two guys linking up together.
Anyway.
I think you'll see these two guys linking up together with Trent inverted. Jones isn't really playing in any form of a defensive midfield role. He's got quite a free rein. You think back to the Leeds game, he assisted from here. These two will be a double pivot. So that's the interesting thing for me. I think if you press pause on your tellies at any point, when we've got the ball, that's what you're going to see.
It's interesting, isn't it? So how do you reckon the Diaz and Nunez thing specifically will work?
I think they'll cross over a fair bit because he likes to go out there. He scored all of his goals from Benfica out there. I think he struggles a little bit to play inside. There's a different level of IQ needed to play centrally than there is on the left-hand side.
I don't even think it's the IQ. I think it's the speed of everything that happens in there is very congested and life comes at you fast in that sense. Yeah. And if you haven't got that quick zip, a pass or that touch, the game runs past you. And I think that's where he gets more time afforded to him when he's out wide because he can slow things down and kind of take it at his pace.
There's a big difference in how he plays. So yeah. He isolates a central defender and he says, right, you're my man. I'm going to, like it did against Everton, it was Tarkowski. Yeah. I'm going to centre on you and I'm going to play off your shoulder. Don't you dare make a mistake. And in doing that, he came across and played in the space where Mo Salah wanted to play. And Mo Salah ended up getting whitewash on his boots because he ended up playing right out wide. That's the only issue I have with, it's not an issue, that's the only thing I can see tactically with Nunez is that he will single out a defender he fancies running rings around during the day and everybody else has to acclimatise to what he's doing. So you might see Diaz come slightly more central, sort of Sadio Mane-esque, because you might find Nunez plays off the right side, the centre-back, which makes more sense for getting your shots off if you're a right-footed player. Interesting to see what Mo Salah does.
Interesting indeed. I'm going to get into our Discord comments, the Club Legends for Redmen Plus. Howdy, it's David says excited for some Nunez chaos. The two together, Nunez and Diaz. Nunez understands Lucho. This is going to be so much fun. And we've heard a lot over the last couple of weeks about Diaz being the one that sort of talks and we've seen Thiago talk to Nunez and stuff. Now the understanding between those two could work to our advantage tonight, couldn't it, Errol?
Well, you'd like to think so. You'd like to think so because at the end of the day, we know Darwin's chaos. But I was also of the opinion, and maybe this is an interesting one as to why Tsimikas is in the squad. I believed even from last season that there was a bit of a language barrier, and would you believe a language barrier between the Scotsman and the Colombian? Because I don't think he was always on the same train of thought as when Robertson had Mane in front of him at times. I thought that left-hand side had a lot more synergy seasons gone by than it had when Diaz came into the squad. Not to say that Diaz wasn't an outstanding talent, but in terms of that link up and that understanding, it was lacking for me at times last season. So maybe the fact that Tsimikas is in there now and Diaz is getting another start, it's another opportunity to say, you lads up top, you're going to have that communication, you're going to have that kind of being a little bit more on the same page, and taking Tsimikas or putting Tsimikas in there almost aids in that, because not saying that the Greek's any easier than Scottish by any stretch, but for me, it's not as instinctive. Mm-hmm. Robbo he's a very vocal player, whereas I think Tsimikas knows his role and he'll know what he has to do before he gets the ball, where Robbo is he's very vocal, he's very demanding, he knows where he wants you to be as well as where he wants to be, and if that doesn't come across and that doesn't convert, that's where it's going to be a bit of a breakdown. So maybe that's another bit of
it's interesting you say that, because if you put Robbo there, let's roll it back, and you put you put Gini on the left-hand side, you put Sadio and you had Bobby. When Bobby came across, that left-hand side was probably the best left-hand side I've ever seen at any football club ever, in terms of learning and understanding and playing with each other. Since Gini's gone, the left central midfield role's become a problem in terms of communication.
But it's had a knock on both ends.
How many teams have scored through our left-hand sided centre midfielder? Think back to Jared Bowen, carried the ball 50 yards and put Fornals through. Think back to the Everton game, they scored there. That has been a problem. I think today it's brave. It's brave because Diaz is on his second game back after 6 months out. Jones is playing his half-dozen game in a row. Credit to him, and he deserves it too. And Tsimikas is kind of coming in out of the cold. So
in the new
your
system,
point is exactly right. In a new system, there is a danger because of the bodies involved in this that they don't understand what their roles are in this system to the nth degree.
Yeah.
But that's what training is supposed to do, isn't it? Sort those problems out.
Okay, so we're going to have a little look at Fulham's
We've got a super chat here as well. I don't know if did you pick that one up?
I've got it pinned,
so
I'm good to go, thank you though. So they've made 5 changes from the weekend. They've got Bernd Leno in goal, Suarez, Tosin, Diop, Robinson round out the back 4, Lukic and Paulinho in a 2-man midfield with Harry Wilson ex-Red, Tom Kearney the captain because of injury to, I forget the name, Willian on the left-hand side and Vinicius up front. So 5 changes from them.
Not the actual Vinicius.
No, thank God for that. Like, Jesus wept. They'll be looking to get a little bit of Willian in behind Trent. Now, I'm all right with that, to be honest, because I don't... Oh, fuck. Touch wood. Because he's obviously going to be going and trying to get in behind Trent Alexander-Arnold. Fucking hell, I'm going to have to do it again. One sec. Touch wood.
You know, this is also...
Yeah, it's been here. I'm not happy. Touch it. I need real wood, and the only real wood it is. We're going to have to move that closer through the watch long, actually, so that I can hit it at loads of points. Either that or I'll rub myself off, get myself a hard on and touch that wood instead. Anyway, William's going to be trying to get in behind Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he hasn't got the pace. Fucking hell! To be able to do it, like,
is that how bad the season's got?
Yes,
like, yes, wow,
yes, mate, it is indeed. So before we go,
you are right.
We are going to be live, right? We're going to be live at, let's go, 22, Tom. Half past. We're going to go live earlier than normal because we're going to do a big G Bellingham chat. But before we go, I want to get the lads' score predictions now that we've seen both the Fulham team and Liverpool's team. So I'll start with you, Ste Plunkett.
I'm going to go 2-1 to the Reds.
2-1 to the Reds. Errol?
It can't be as nerve-wracking as the game on the weekend. It's got to be comfortable. We've got to have an air of control.
That left-hand side worries me.
Worries you, yeah. I'm going to put a little bit of confidence in that left-hand side. I think on an instinctive level and with the front two at the top on that left-hand side, I think they're going to be on song tonight for us. I'm going to go for the 3-0.
I'm going to go 3-1. Niall O'Callaghan says, sent us £10 super chat. Thank you so much, Niall. In regards to Thiago, we haven't managed him properly. For one thing, our medical staff have appeared to be on holiday this season with the amount of injuries that we've had. Can agree with that. Yeah. Keith Charles, spacebar. Dear Redmen, if you're not FSG out now, what will it take? That question, thank you for the super chat, will be answered more thoroughly from 7:30. I'm massively disappointed in the amount of investment that we've had. To be honest with you, I've been saying this for months now. Angered at times by it, especially when Liverpool were playing shit. I was really angry about it. 4 wins on the bounce hasn't changed that too much. It dampens it a little bit. I do think, and I'll say it now, I do think FSG have probably taken us as far as they can take us. I think if we want to compete at the very, very top for a sustained period of time, then Liverpool need to invest more in the squad, or they need to be working smarter. They're not doing either of those things at the moment because the transfer strategy over the last year and a half has not been smart. We've brought in some good players, but we've left gaping holes in the squads, and that's the basis of my opinion right now. So there you go. That is the Uncensored Match Build-Up Show. I've been Chris Pajak. That's been Errol Smith, and Ste Plunkett's been at the board. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you at 7:30 to talk Jude Bellingham.
What's happening, everyone? Hope you enjoyed that show. If you want to get discounts off redmenmerch.com, if you head over to redmenplus.com and become a club legend, you get 20% off the products over on redmenmerch.com. So yeah, get yourself some Boss Liverpool gear, get yourself even more Boss Liverpool content, become a Redmen Plus club legend today.